Electricity consumption increases roughly 7% annually thanks to Egypt's energy-heavy industries, steady population growth and increasing technology use. At the same time, the government is struggling to pay for energy subsidies that last year ate up a fifth of the budget. Reforming subsidies remains the most difficult issue for the near future. Millions in the impoverished nation rely on the low energy prices, so changing the system is potentially explosive. For the moment, the only stopgap measure is to import expensive mazut and diesel as a backup fuel for power stations which normally run on natural gas. The government is trying to secure a floating regasification plant to allow the import of liquefied natural gas, with talk of obtaining it sometimes in August. Real solutions will take longer. One of Egypt's most promising gas fields, the North Alexandria block, had been expected to come online already, increasing production by 10%, but now won't operate for another 4 or 5 years, according to Petroleum Minister Sharif Ismail.
And discussing this important file, energy, a real challenge before Egypt's new president. Electricity outages have become a real challenge. To which reasons are we going to attribute this to? Why are such outages now commonplace more than before? This is my question to Professor Mohamed Elsopky, who is the Professor of Electric Engineering, Cairo University. Professor Elsopky, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having me.
Starting off with those outages that we are witnessing now daily in Cairo and other suburbs, what reasons it has become a real challenge? What reasons do you attribute this to? And was it accumulating?
Well, yes, actually there is 3 main factors, but then they have been accumulating over the last maybe 10 years. Basically, we are facing a shortage of our fuel supplies to the electric power stations. So this is one of the main factors. The other is the deterioration of some of the power station, the electrical power station, and that needs sort of ongoing maintenance and enhancement in their performance. And the third one is the rapid increase of our pattern of usage of electricity. That's not, I wouldn't look at it as a negative factor, but it is actually our right. It's basically, it reflects economic growth, it reflects prosperity. So again, it's one of the factors, but yet it's our rights to really use additional electricity, both for economical growth and prosperity of our lives. Yet we do have a challenge. It's not only a challenge actually in front of the incoming president, but it's a challenge for the people of Egypt as a whole. That, some of the solutions are at the tip of our fingers as end users, industrial, commercial, residential as well.
Right. Some of the solutions are at the tip of our fingers. This means that the people should be quite aware that they can help in solving the problem, and they are partners with the government and with the state in reaching a solution, or at least in alleviating the pressure.
Definitely.
How can we actually help them think about the matter in that way? And definitely the media has a role to play.
Definitely. Well, the media has, I would say, a leading role really in achieving that. Most of our industrial activities in the country do consume energy at large, and electricity especially, at rates ranging between 10 and 30% above the world average regarding most of the energy intensive industries as well as other industries. Our behavior of usage of electricity at our homes is also not a conservative one. Our usage of, for example, of even water, that we open the tap and...
Do you think that we need an upheaval in the culture of our sense of awareness of consumption?
We do need that. We do need that. It's definitely, we are using most of our resources as if they are endless, and that's something which we really need to be quite aware of. And if you allow me, I'll give you just an example of what happened in Japan 3 years ago when they faced the crisis of their nuclear power plant, and they had a shortage of electricity. Basically, through the sort of voluntarily actions of residential end users, office buildings, and so on, in increasing the setting of air conditioners to 2 degrees or 3 degrees, wearing light clothes. For example, using the elevators. If they are going 3 floors down or 2 floors up, they would use the stairs rather than using the elevators. In 3 months, they managed to cut down their electricity usage by 15% across the country. So this is why the impact and of the end users is can be quite notable, and we can make really the difference as end user. I would say it's like a commitment or to do some voluntarily actions which would help us sort of sail safely through this crisis until our fuel supplies pick up again, as well as our electric power stations.
Yes, right, you are. Professor Elsopky has mentioned many reasons that is why we can attribute such outages to, namely the shortages of fuel supplies, the deterioration of power stations. However, he had mentioned and given example of the Japanese, how when they had the will and a sense of determination to share, how the impact of the end users, how they did have a real impact in the way they behaved and shared in this energy crisis in their country. We're still discussing the energy file, a very important file before the upcoming president, and as Professor Elsopky has mentioned, it's not only before the president but before all the people of Egypt. Can we distribute electricity between people and production? For how long we have been exporting gas, and how far will gas satisfy our domestic needs? The insufficiency of the resources and the poor infrastructure. Many questions on the show. Let's watch this report and we will be back into further discussion, and we are going to be joined by Professor Gamal Al-Ayoubi with us, along with Professor Elsopky, to continue our discussion on this important file.
Minister of Electricity Mohamed said that the ministry is looking into using solar energy to generate power to light outdoor advertising banners instead of depending on traditional electricity. Shaker said the move is in line with the government's program to decrease the amount of electricity used to light streets, which is currently being implemented in cooperation with the Ministry of Local Development. The ministry will start the advertising banners in Greater Cairo, which represent 4% of total advertising advertising banners throughout Egypt, Shakir said. He also said that this includes only major streets, highways and bridges. He added that street lighting represents 7% of the country's overall power usage. In April, the Ministry of Environment announced that Italy has provided Egypt with 3.5 million Egyptian pounds grant for the development of solar-powered electrical units in Wadi al-Haytan region of Fayoum Governorate's Wadi Rayyan Wildlife Reserve. In a similar move, former Electricity Minister Ahmed Imam announced a plan in February to place solar energy stations on top of each ministerial building. The Ministry of